How you doing, Dr. Boyce? This is I didn't know how to use Shortcut for the video, but I still followed everything on the prompt and everything that you wanted me to show what I know in a personal topic for me. And so I'll be doing CTE. And so the agenda is we will explore the reality of concussions and CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy in football and how it affects players long after the game is over. I want to show how the culture of toughness in football often hides the real physical and emotional toll that players carry for the rest of their lives. And here's a little picture, and here's a video on YouTube on what a CTE.
Lately, it's been difficult to talk about football without mentioning concussions. Why? Well, mounting concern over a disease called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, more commonly known as CTE. In the world of medicine, CTE is a relative newcomer. In football, we just learned about it 10 to 15 years ago. Here's what we can say. It's a progressive degenerative brain disease. It is like Alzheimer's. It can start with memory loss, mood swings, and difficulty in concentration, developing into progressive dementia, even possible thoughts of suicide. But unlike Alzheimer's, CTE can also result in significant aggression and lack of impulse control. The big difference, symptoms tend to begin much earlier in life, closer to your 40s instead of your 60s. In both diseases, there's no known cure. Researchers believe there's only one way to get CTE, and that is repeated hits to the head. What happens is that you get a buildup of an abnormal protein called tau in the brain. Scientists do know both the location of the tau and how much tau in the brain determines the symptoms you might exhibit. But scientists don't yet have a magic number of hits that results in CTE. It also isn't known who exactly will develop CTE. There are some players who take many hits and never develop symptoms. Factors like genetics and age of exposure to the trauma could play a role. How do you know if you have CTE? Just because you have symptoms doesn't mean you have the disease. In fact, as things stand now, you can only be diagnosed for sure after death. Scientists are researching how to diagnose in living people. A prominent group of researchers have found over 90% of former NFL players have developed CTE. But remember something important here. The number could be so high because of something known as selection bias. That means the brains that were studied were from people who worried that they had CTE. Also, it's not just football players that need to be concerned. Boxers, soccer players, people in the military, anyone who's exposed to constant head trauma can develop it too.
So from Dr. McKee, AMC.
Building a business like no other takes a card like no other.
Sorry. Sorry, but from Dr. McKee, AMC, she says repeat conclusive and subconcussive impacts lead to progressive neurodegeneration, resulting in cognitive decline, mood disorders, and behavioral changes consistent with CTE. And here's the NFL showing how they have tried to change rules and also helmets to prevent concussions. So I went on to the NFL site and went to the players and health and safety rule, and I found this video.
The use of helmet rule states that it is a foul if a player lowers his head to initiate and make contact with his helmet against an opponent.
I'm Jeff Crandall. I'm a professor at the University of Virginia. I'm also the chair of the NFL Engineering Committee. We do a video review of each and every concussion. We've been doing it the last 3 years, and we started to notice when we looked at the video that a large number of players were leading with their helmet, initiating contact that caused concussions. It's not only the leading with the head, but it's lowering the body, pitching over, and leaning into the impact. What we did was a biomechanical analysis that looked at player behavior related to leading with the helmet, lowering the head. Through computer simulations, one of the things we've seen is it's not only the crown of the helmet, but a much larger area of the head, that when a player leads with their helmet, they cause increased cruise potential in the player they strike. The consequences of this are they remove the curvature of the neck, and they put themselves at greater risk of having a catastrophic spinal injury. The consequences of this for the player they hit when they're tackling or blocking are that they recruit more of the mass of their body and put larger forces through their helmet. This increases the risk of concussion in the players they strike. We we had examples on field of concussions occurring under leading with the helmet, and we had the biomechanical explanation of why it was risky. So when you put these two together, it makes a pretty compelling case that we need to get this behavior out of the game.
And so, personally for me, when I was playing football, my helmet was a Speed Flex, and Speed Flex at the time, or still is, was one of the best helmets to use for the head. And so, as you see here, CTE can also happen in young adults. And a recent study examined the brains of 152 deceased young sports athletes who were exposed to repeated head injury and found evidence of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a progressive and fatal disease associated with repeated head injury. This study confirms that even young athletes can develop CTE. And as you see right there, 41.4% of incidents of CTE. And of the 52 brain donors younger than 30 years old who played contact sports, 63 or 41.4% were diagnosed with CTE. And as you see over here, here is a pie chart showing the primary sports played. And football was the main one. And of the 48 athletes with CTE who played football, 11 played at a professional level. And here at the bottom right, the stage of CTE, and then the bottom left is by level. In conclusion, this project means a lot to me because football has always been a big part of my life, but I've also seen and heard stories of players dealing with serious head injuries, memory loss, depression, and even personality changes. People should know and think twice about what players sacrifice every time they step on the field. I've had 2 concussions while playing football, and they are not fun to have. I just want to spread awareness of the risk of playing football or any contact sport. Thank you.